There are 3 pickup trucks hiding on used car lots across America right now that most people walk right past. And that might be the biggest mistake they'll ever make. The first one has an engine so overbuilt it should have come with a hard hat. The last one? Let's just say it borrowed its DNA from a luxury SUV that cost more than some houses back in the day. Stick around, because by the end of this video you might start looking at old trucks the same way people look at vintage bourbon. Ugly bottle, priceless inside. Welcome back to Old Man Garage, where we celebrate the trucks that refuse to die while the new ones are already asking for software updates. Everybody's chasing shiny pickups loaded with giant touchscreens, 12 cameras, and enough sensors to panic over a wet leaf. Meanwhile, the toughest trucks ever built are sitting quietly in used lots for less than the price of a year's worth of new truck payments. Today we're looking at 3 pickups nobody builds anymore, and after you see what's hiding underneath them, you'll understand exactly why. Number 3. GMT800 Chevrolet Silverado, 1999 to 2006. If you've ever wondered what would happen if a brick learned how to tow a trailer, congratulations! You've just pictured the GMT800 Silverado. A contractor named Rick used to stop by my shop every few months, but never because the truck broke down. He came in for oil changes, coffee, and to remind me that his Silverado had somehow survived another year of hauling things that definitely exceeded Chevrolet's recommended payload. Concrete bags, roofing shingles, an old riding mower. I'm pretty sure that truck once carried half of a Home Depot on a Tuesday afternoon. By the time the odometer rolled past 360,000 miles, the engine had never been opened. That's the kind of mileage where most modern trucks are already introducing you to their warranty department by first name. The secret wasn't luck. It was the legendary 5.3-liter Vortec V8. Specifically, the iron block version found in many early GMT 800 trucks. Underneath, it's part of GM's famous LS engine family, the same bloodline that made hot rodders smile and tire shops rich for decades. But unlike the Corvette cousins chasing horsepower, this version was tuned to do something far more important: show up to work every single morning without complaining. Here's something most buyers never realize. These trucks came before GM introduced active fuel management. No cylinder deactivation, no collapsing lifters waiting to ruin your weekend, no mysterious dashboard messages telling you to visit the dealership because your truck suddenly forgot how to be a truck. Sometimes older really is better. It's like buying a flip phone that somehow survives being dropped off a roof while the newest smartphone cracks because you looked at it too aggressively. Fuel economy? Don't expect miracles. You're looking at roughly 15 to 18 miles per gallon depending on whether your right foot behaves itself. But nobody buys one of these because they're trying to save the polar bears. They buy them because they enjoy arriving home without calling a tow truck. Now, they're not perfect. The gauge cluster loves putting on little Broadway performances. One day your speedometer works, the next day it decides you're apparently parked while doing 70 miles an hour. Luckily, rebuilding the cluster is inexpensive and keeps the original mileage intact. The other weak spot is brake lines, especially in northern states where road salt treats steel like it's an all-you-can-eat buffet. Replace them with stainless steel lines once, and you've basically eliminated the biggest long-term weakness these trucks have. A clean example from around 2001 through 2005 can still be found between $8,000 and $11,000 if you're patient. And here's the funny part. People will happily finance an $80,000 pickup because it has massaging seats. While this old Silverado quietly keeps doing truck things with the mechanical confidence of a guy who still owns a toolbox older than the internet. But don't go shopping just yet, because the next truck on this list has an engine so ridiculously overbuilt that Ford accidentally created something closer to industrial equipment than a pickup engine. And that's where things get really interesting. Number 2. Ford F-150, obese with the 4.9-liter Inline 6, 1992 to 1996. If engines could earn pensions, the Ford 300 Inline 6 would have retired 20 years ago. And somehow it'd still be showing up for work every Monday before everybody else. I remember a rancher named Dave who rolled into my shop with a faded 1994 F-150 that looked like it had spent its entire life arguing with barbed wire fences. The paint was cooked, the driver's seat looked like a family of raccoons had rented it for the winter, and the bed had more dents than a grocery store shopping cart. But when I looked at the odometer, 448,000 miles. Original engine, original transmission. The only thing Dave ever complained about was that the air conditioner gave up sometime during the Obama administration. That's the kind of complaint mechanics actually enjoy hearing. Because replacing an AC compressor is a lot cheaper than explaining why your brand new turbocharged engine just turned into an expensive paperweight. The reason these trucks refuse to quit starts with the famous Ford 300 cubic inch Inline 6, better known as the 4.9 liter. This wasn't an engine that Ford designed for people who wanted to win drag races. It was designed for people who thought taking it easy meant hauling 2,000 pounds instead of 3,000. And that's exactly why it became one of the toughest gasoline engines America ever built. For more than 30 years, this engine powered pickups, delivery trucks, farm equipment, generators, industrial machinery, irrigation pumps, and just about anything that needed to run all day without throwing a tantrum. That's why old farmers trust this engine more than they trust the weather forecast. Now here's the part almost nobody talks about anymore. Everyone loves debating timing chains versus timing belts. This engine doesn't care about either argument because it uses timing gears, steel gears. No belt waiting to crack because someone forgot maintenance. No chains stretching after 200,000 miles. Just gears doing exactly what gears have been doing since your grandfather thought cassette tapes were cutting-edge technology. Pair that with a cast iron block, a cast iron head, 7 massive main bearings, and ridiculously low operating stress, and you've got an engine that almost seems offended by the idea of wearing out. These motors regularly pass 300,000 miles. 400,000 isn't unusual. 500,000? Plenty of owners have done it. At that point, the truck usually dies from old age around the engine, not because of the engine itself. Frame rust, interior falling apart, electrical gremlins, door hinges begging for retirement. Meanwhile, the Inline 6 just keeps idling like it's waiting for another shift to start. Fuel economy isn't exactly going to impress your environmentally conscious neighbor. Expect somewhere around 15 to 17 miles per gallon if everything is healthy. But remember, you're driving a full-size pickup from the 1990s that was built before engineers started treating every engine like it had to survive a laboratory exam. Simple usually wins. If you're shopping for one, try finding a 1995 or 1996 model. Those were some of the last and most refined years before Ford finally retired the engine. Not because it became unreliable, but because emissions regulations demanded cleaner, more modern designs. There's a huge difference. The engine didn't lose. The rule book changed. When inspecting one, make sure it actually has the Inline 6. Plenty of these trucks came with V8s, and while they're solid, they're not the reason you're watching this video. Check the dual fuel tank selector if equipped. Those switches love retiring before the truck does. Also listen for clunking over bumps. Radius arm bushings wear with age, but they're inexpensive and far easier to replace than explaining to your spouse why you bought another project truck. A clean OBS F-150 with the 4.9 usually sells between $6,000 and $8,000. Spend another couple thousand replacing worn suspension parts, fluids, belts, hoses, and catching up on neglected maintenance, and you'll own something that still has a better chance of starting on a freezing January morning than half the luxury trucks sitting on dealership lots today. And if you think this Ford is hard to kill, wait until you see what's sitting in the #1 spot. Because the last truck isn't just famous for lasting forever. It hides a secret that Toyota accidentally borrowed from one of the most respected luxury SUVs ever built. Once you know what's underneath it, you'll never look at these trucks the same way again. Number 1. First generation Toyota Tundra, 2000 to 2006. Now here's the truck that makes mechanics smile and makes dealerships quietly change the subject. Because the first generation Toyota Tundra wasn't built to impress your neighbors. It wasn't designed to have the biggest grille, the tallest hood, or enough LED lights to land an airplane. It was built during a time when Toyota engineers apparently had one mission. Let's overbuild everything, and let accounting figure it out later. A friend of mine named Steve bought a 2003 Tundra about 8 years ago. 170,000 miles, a little faded, a couple scratches. The kind of truck people walk past because it doesn't scream, "Look at me." One of his buddies laughed and said, "You're paying that much for an old Toyota?" Fast forward to today. The truck has crossed well over 390,000 miles. His friend? He's already traded in 2 newer trucks and is currently making payments on a third. Sometimes the joke tells itself. The heart of this truck is Toyota's legendary 4.7-liter 2 UZ FE V8. And here's the part that surprises almost everybody. Toyota didn't build this engine specifically for the Tundra. This exact engine family also powered the Land Cruiser, the Lexus LX 470, and several global market SUVs that earned reputations for surviving deserts, jungles, mountain trails, and places where roadside assistance isn't even a real thing. Think about that for a second. You're buying the same basic engine architecture trusted in one of the most respected luxury off-road SUVs ever built, inside a pickup that many people ignore because it isn't covered in chrome. That's like finding out your quiet high school math teacher used to compete in heavyweight boxing. Doesn't look dangerous until you know the backstory. Now here's the mechanical detail that separates people who own these trucks from people who only read internet forums. Yes, this engine uses a timing belt, and every 90,000 miles or so, that belt needs replacing. Some buyers hear that and immediately panic. Don't, because the timing belt service creates one of the biggest hidden advantages this truck has. Since the front of the engine is already apart, every smart technician replaces the water pump, thermostat, coolant, accessory belts, and often several aging hoses at the same time. Without realizing it, owners are giving the cooling system a complete refresh every several years. Cooling systems are one of the biggest reasons gasoline engines eventually fail. Toyota accidentally built an engine whose major scheduled maintenance keeps renewing the exact components that usually destroy long-term reliability. It's almost like forcing your truck to get a full physical before small problems ever become expensive ones. That's not bad engineering. That's brilliant engineering. Fuel economy? Let's be honest. Nobody has ever bought a V8 Tundra hoping to win an economy contest. Expect roughly 14 to 17 miles per gallon depending on gearing, driving habits, and whether your right foot believes every green light is the start of the Daytona 500. But you'll probably spend far less on repairs than someone squeezing 24 miles per gallon out of an engine that requires 3 software updates before breakfast. If you're looking at one of these trucks, ask one simple question first. Has the timing belt service been documented? If the answer is yes, you're already ahead of the game. If not, budget around $1,000 and have it done immediately. It's money incredibly well spent. Then crawl underneath and inspect the frame carefully, especially around the rear leaf spring mounts. Rust is the real enemy here, particularly if the truck spent its life in states where winter road salt gets dumped like powdered sugar on a funnel cake. A solid frame changes everything. A clean first-generation Tundra from roughly 2001 through 2006 can still be found between $9,000 and $12,000 if you're patient. And here's the funny part. People spend $80,000 on a brand new truck with heated cup holders, a dashboard bigger than their living room television, and enough warning lights to decorate a Christmas tree, only to get nervous every time the warranty gets close to expiring. Meanwhile, an old Tundra owner is out there hauling lumber, towing a fishing boat, picking up mulch from Lowe's, grabbing burgers on the way home, and sleeping like a baby, because the biggest decision he'll probably make that week is which brand of motor oil is on sale. That's the difference. These trucks weren't designed around lease payments. They were designed around decades. And that's exactly why nobody builds pickups like this anymore. Manufacturers chase emissions, fuel economy targets, giant infotainment screens, subscription features, and quarterly profits. Back then, engineers were still winning arguments inside the meeting room. Today, the accountants usually do. So if you can still find one of these old workhorses sitting quietly on a used lot, don't judge it by faded paint or a worn-out driver's seat. Judge it by what's underneath. Because while everyone else is shopping for the newest truck on the lot, you might just be buying the last truck you'll ever need. Thanks for hanging out with us here on Old Man Garage. If you enjoyed today's video, subscribe and turn on notifications because we've got plenty more forgotten legends, hidden bargains, and hilariously overbuilt machines coming your way. And remember, sometimes the smartest truck in the parking lot is the one everyone else was too busy ignoring.